Welcome to the Extra Pass podcast presented by Melbourne United. I'm your host, Ben Hopkins, joined as always by my co-host, back after a week off, Adam Ballinger. Balls, how are you?
It's a holiday blowout extravaganza episode.
Yeah, it's a big episode. It's a special episode. You're back, and we have a very special guest, Brad Newley, joining us in the studio. How are you, Brad?
Very excited to be here, gentlemen. I haven't done a podcast for a while. I actually hosted one a few years ago when I was playing up the road, about 800 kilometres away. And I see that's just started again, so I'm looking forward to being on here today with you boys and sharing some of my career and my current thoughts on the game of basketball.
How's it been? It's been coming off a pretty exciting week. Double win, round two. Important wins, solidifying that spot on the ladder. What are the feelings coming out of that?
Yeah, pretty awesome, man. Anytime we can go and beat Southeast by that kind of margin on their home court for their home game is always fun. Everybody did their roles really well, and then short turnaround into an Adelaide team with a new coach, with a bit of a new mentality. And, they put us to the sword a little bit late in that game. But, once again, the guys come out and did a hell of a job and got the win. It was a pretty balanced effort too. So, yeah, the vibes are good. Anytime we have a couple wins, we normally have like a lunch during the week and just sit around and reflect and, talk a little bit of rubbish about what's been going on around the place. And it's just a good feeling around the club and just enjoying keeping that going at the moment.
Yeah, well, we got to enjoy a delicious lunch shortly before jumping
Delicious lunch, thanks to Ronnie's. Matt Butcher and the crew came through with a beautiful feed. Go check them out. They're in the CBD. Anytime you want to take your wife or partner for a nice meal, that's where you want to go.
Yeah, I ate too much. I'll admit that. I ate too much. It was delicious and I couldn't stop myself.
I should eat more. That was really, really good stuff. So I would say right now, basketball-wise in your career, there's a few times where you're just cruising. It really is right now. It would seem to me as this is the best job in the world. Sometimes when you're losing, if you're not playing as well, it's not as fun, and you can fight back against everyone else thinking it's the best job in the world. But people from the outside looking in be like, man, it's like you're playing, you're around a bunch of good guys. You're on a winning team. Everyone gets along. You're getting free feeds. You finish by 2 o'clock. 2 o'clock might be the latest you go on a lot of days, especially at this point in the season. Can you step back a little bit and think, yeah, it's pretty good. Like, this is good. This doesn't always happen.
Yeah, I'm probably personally in that position more than anyone, given my age and how long I've been playing the game for. It hasn't been like that for 20 years, I tell you that. Like, there's a lot of tough days. You even look back to last year, we had some hard moments. But, I'm funny, like, when people say that you've got the best job in the world, that kind of comment, like, it's more than kind of a job. It's like a passion and it's your love. So it's hard for me to kind of nail exactly how I feel about the current situation, but it does make life a lot easier when you're coming home and you're putting wins on the board for sure. Yeah,
we had Treno on last week and sort of talked about this group and the importance of culture and the importance of having a really good group of guys. Can you give us a bit of an insight? It seems like on the court, off the court, you guys just love being around each other and the camaraderie is there. Can you give us a bit of an insight into how important that is?
Yeah, I think it's huge. Most good teams I've ever been a part of have had guys who've got along really well. Even when I played overseas in Europe, where like guys didn't even speak the same language, but we somehow had some sort of communication where we all enjoyed each other's company. I think that's the most important. But on top of all that, it's what happens on the floor. Like, you got the blue squad, you got the white squad, you got the goldies with the orange bibs. That's a battle every day. And to be able to leave the floor and still get along, given the intensity that we're going at, I think that's a huge thing. And I think if it wasn't like that, then we'd have some problems. We'd all just be friends. So I think the where we're at with that is really good. And I think that's no secret to our success. We got a good age group mix. We got some older guys, got younger guys, and then we all kind of talk to each other. There's no little groups or anything. And there is little groups, but we all mix around and we make sure everyone gets along with each other. And the way we do our video, it's an open session. We do like group activities together, make people who might be a little bit quiet, we put them in positions where they need to talk a little bit more, which is great for their personal growth. And sometimes us yappers, we can sit back and just, let the young fellas talk a little bit, which isn't so bad.
Yeah, and I guess you talk about, all the different squads we've got. We just saw out on the practice floor, you were with the white squad, had a pretty dominant day, it seemed like. But how important is it to have the depth of talent on a team like this that wants to have success because you can go out every day and push each other?
Yeah, I think it's massive. I think at times I've felt, because a lot of the time I'm in the gold squad, I'm the gold squad captain. I'm like their father / oh, thank you. I don't know, I should be too proud of it. But
put that out on social media. Have you even announced that yet?
Yeah, it'll be out there soon. It's coming soon. But I like to look after the young fellas, and we try to run a few plays. It's our job basically every week. We're the opposition, so we try to identify, a couple of the best players of the other team. They've got a bit of a license to go and do what they really want in practice, and it's good for the young guys to have that experience. And we just need to put pressure on the white and blue team to try and stop us, I guess. And it's kind of fun being the older guy trying to pick it apart and do little slippery things to try and mess up the stuff for blue and white. But I don't want to annoy them too much because then Dino will come down on them and they'll feel bad. So it's part of my job not to do too much of that.
Who have been some of the young guys who might be part of that gold squad who have really impressed you coming in this year?
Oh, I think every one of them has done well at times. Maleeth's come along. He's realised what he can bring to the game. Campbell's developed through the roof. He's now got his ball handling to a level where he can get into an NPL game and carry the ball. Triplet shooting's always there. Tommy Coppins, young Sandy kid, he kind of was like a train-on guy. Now he's one of our DPs. And I think he's a player for the future. And I'm missing a couple of other guys. We got Eric, who comes from Diamond Valley, and Pezza as well. Jock Perry, who's played some NBL games. And those guys are so important because they create, that team, that extra five that we can rotate through. And they're all doing really well. And every day someone will do something different and adds something to the group. And I think that's important to push the senior players and the guys who are getting the minutes to keep them on their toes. Yeah,
you've been part of the league for a long time. Obviously, came in a while ago, played a few years, and then went and played in Europe, and then came back and have had a fair bit of success and have seen a lot of talent in this league. Can you talk about, has there been a shift in like the amount of the sort of the depth of talent on each team? It seems like each team can go to their bench and have success.
I mean, I kind of came in an era when it was 2 imports, so that was an extra, and there was no next stars or anything like that. So I kind of came in when it was more Aussie talent, I guess. But now, I feel, there is depth, but less players. Like the good ones now are staying and playing in the NBL, so you're not losing as many to college as what we used to. So you're probably seeing more young Australian talent than you used to, whereas back then you get a few who would stay. So the spread's very interesting. Right now, you've got the influx of next stars, European kids coming through, American players who are drafted coming back and playing another year in the NBL and those kind of things. So I definitely think the spread of talent's there. The top end, there's still a bit of a gap between the top and the bottom a little bit, but it's slowly coming up, and it's just good to see more and more younger players coming through. And I just hope the NBL can allow that going forward, so more and more Aussies can thrive in their own league.
And you talk about your era, and I guess coming in when you did as a young player and really thriving those first few years with the Crocs, you had a few battles with the man next to you. I did go back, and I'm sorry to do this, but you played 11 times, you two, and Balls won 10 of them.
Oh, yeah.
Well, not me personally. Not me personally. I was with the Hawks then.
The Hawk. We had, I reckon we lost a semi to you. That Hawks was our bogey team, man. We couldn't beat the Hawks. And it went back like with the Crocs.
That's right. It did go.
Because they lost the grand final there, I think. And there was a bit of a battle between the coaching staff, and that's some long history there. And I think we finally got a win somewhere towards the end of my career.
One win in there.
It was 3 because
my early career.
So because you was 3 years until you took off.
Yeah, I played
and then
3
after
years.
3 years there, I left and went to Adelaide. But we were really good. So we had, that was Glenn Sable.
You guys played in the grand final.
Matt Campbell, played in the grand final. Darnell, who else? Some other guys that you remember, but Adam Caporn was on
Capes, Matty Campbell. Yeah.
But
bunch of good dudes.
Going out to Townsville was enjoyable. Like they're not in the league anymore, but just as it's like a small town, to go in there and play it's connected to by a sidewalk basically to the casino and where you're staying overnight. But even the court, it was just only basketball there, the seats to go. It wasn't huge, but atmosphere-wise, obviously, too, because we won there all the time. It was,
No, you must have loved that.
It was a good place to play. It was a good place
apart from Hawks. But, it was the Crocs were kind of like the only club in that time who were getting regular fans and making good crowd. Like, it was always sellouts. I remember we'd get charged if we didn't use our tickets. Like we always had to make sure we all got our 2 tickets, and we'd have to pay for them if we didn't use them. So there was like they were so big
Hot
into
ticket.
like it was we were a big ticket up there, and it was a lot of fun to play up there in that time. And it's really sad to see him out of the league, because there's actually basketball up there is huge. It's a massive. So I don't know in my time away or whatever's happened up there, but it's a little bit sad to see the kind of the demise of the club, because it was such a massive franchise. And I really enjoyed my time up there, but you know, some things just happen for a reason, I guess, and maybe one day they'll get back. Who knows?
What has changed? So, okay, from your first year in Townsville would have been 2007.
2004.
Sorry, 2004. After that, you left. Yeah. 2004. That was my first year out here, basically. Maybe with the year before that.
Yeah, I was 04, 05. Yeah.
But think from then to now, you know, the start of your playing career to nearing the end, like the difference in trainers and film that you're watching and what you're doing in practice other than just practicing. You know, you guys are out here, everyone before practice has stuff they're supposed to do, like a specific thing.
Prehab.
Not just go
like
out.
Standing on a thing.
Stretch your hamstrings a couple of times and get a couple of shots up. But it's very specific now. I mean, can you talk about the evolution of the basketball here?
I mean, I came in, my first year was with Ian Stacker. He was a little bit of it. He's a little bit differently. He was more European model. We were one of the only clubs who would do 2-a-days. So we would practice like 9 till 11 in the morning. Then we'd come back for a 5 to 7 session at night. And in between, you just go sit in your air conditioner because it was so hot. I'd say probably the main things, like the technology side of things has changed so much now from when I played. Like I remember the assistant coach would just put a video on, hit play, and that was the breakdown of the game, and it'd be a few notes here and there. Now, like everyone's got their own clips where they can see the exact moment where they made a mistake or did something good, and like that there's just so much more information now to when I played. Even the television, it was only one game a week. I think it was Big Wednesday. Yeah. That was on TV if you were lucky enough to play in that. Probably some of my greatest games just don't exist.
Yeah, you couldn't get the film.
I don't know where you would find it, because someone would hide it, or
you'd have to rely on the other team to give it to you. Just to even scout.
Yeah, they're like two pretty big things. And then you got like the weights and the way you train. I guess we weren't really restricted at all. You were just training until you were tired, and that was that. Like, there was no catapult. And then we'd go sit in the ice bath, and our major sponsor was Coca-Cola, so we'd sit there and have a Coke in the ice bath and got our bodies right for Saturday night. Maybe that's why we lost to the Hawks. But yeah, just a different time. Like our major sponsor was McDonald's, and he would get annoyed if we were eating anything but McDonald's. Like, yeah, I don't know how that flies these days. Sorry to Hungry Jacks. I know it's a Hungry Jacks league, but
you can get the healthy option.
That's what he would say. Just get the healthy option. Okay.
Well, Balls has said before that his go-to meal after practice was 2 cheeseburgers and a large Coke, wasn't it?
4 cheeseburgers.
Oh, sorry, 4 cheeseburgers.
Large Fanta.
Yeah, that was because if you were lean, you got to bulk up. That's it. You go bulk up, mate. You know,
I wasn't that lean.
Were you trying to bulk up, Balls?
No, I wasn't. Hungry. But I was already bulked. But
yeah, they're the main things. Just the technology. The professionalism is probably a lot different now.
Way different. Like, even like you look at your guys' practice now. I know United covers all bases. Got to be better than any other team in the league. But there's so many peripheral people during the practices. Yeah, like to the trainers. I mean, just
you got 3 physios.
Yeah.
You got
when we were playing
video. You got a guy sitting there with a video replaying live while you're going, so you don't even need to wait for the video session.
With the Hawks, it was we had one coach, Brendan, and he was the main coach. There was 2 assistants that didn't get to talk much. And that was it. There was no physio. If you got hurt, it was you had to go see the physio. You had to drive yourself to go see the physio. Yeah. Was it like that in Townsville?
Yeah, very similar. We were probably lucky there. Wollongong's similar. It was a smaller town, so you could get around quite easy. But like you didn't know any better. And it was funny because I would talk to guys from other clubs, and they were like, "Oh, you guys are way ahead of us. Like we had our own facility. Like we had actually an air conditioned training court and those kind of things, which other clubs weren't even doing that. They were rocking up at associations and using their facilities. So, I say, it was before, like Townsville was probably a little bit before its time with the way they had their setup. The whole club was on, it was similar to this actually, very similar. So, the game's definitely come a long way. There's 10 teams now. Oh, no, it might have been 10. I can't remember.
Oh, there's like 12.
Some teams are gone and some teams have come. But
you guys used to give us...
It's pretty intense. Like we played back to back. Like there's a lot of Friday, Saturday games. Now there's
Townsville and
you do
Cairns
the
back
double,
to back.
or you go Adelaide, Perth, Melbourne when there was 2 Melbourne. So there's the scheduling's probably changed a little bit. The game was longer. There was 48 minutes, so there was more time for players to get out there and do their thing, I guess.
Basically, you're saying we were tougher, like players were tougher.
I don't want to get into that battle because I've been lucky enough to play through 2 eras, so it's not any easier now than what it was, believe me, running around with these guys every week.
I don't want to sound like an old bitter guy. But you used to have, so Townsville was the last team to actually give you a cooler of beer after the game.
Oh, yeah.
And that didn't
You were
there was
required
always
to do
beer.
that.
But before I got here, not long before, every team gave the opposing team a cooler full of beer for after the game. Post-game.
Really?
Yeah.
It's professionalism just got. There's no more grog in the change rooms, boys. We're getting serious now.
Never.
But
Absolutely
back then
not.
it was.
They say 1 beer or 2 beers right after the game is good for you. Have you heard that? Because of the carbs.
You hydrate.
Yeah, carbs.
Carbs.
That's
and
what they
hydration.
did. That's what the trainer said. So
I remember my first road trip. I just left the AIS. We'd gone over to Perth to play.
over-carbed maybe after the game.
No, we're not getting there yet. But we're going over to Perth to play some pre-season games. I can't remember who was playing for Perth, but I remember we got a 12-seater van from Perth down to this play. Might have been a 4-hour drive or something. So we played the game. Oh, we're going back to Perth after the game, boys. First stop, bottle shop. Big, I'm sitting here watching my teammates just down in these VB beers. I'm like, okay, this is the NBL. How good. We're on. So yeah, different time.
A different era, and then I guess a pretty big shift for you. You have your 3 years in Townsville, and then you go to Europe and spend a decade over there. What was that? How different was that going over and seeing a different brand of basketball, a different culture, a different style of basketball? How different was that for you?
Yeah, I'd been lucky enough to. So I ended up. I was drafted by Houston, and they wanted me to go and play. I guess in a stronger. They felt the NBL at that time wasn't like because I was doing really well. They must have been like, he's a kid. How's he killing everyone? He needs to go test himself. And I ended up landed in Greece, a team called Panionios, down in the south of Athens there, and signed a 1-year deal with them. And it was my first day of practice. The coach says to me, "You can survive here. You can play anywhere." So I was like, okay, that's a bit of a heads up how the situation's going to be here. And the next thing I know, I'm on a 4-hour drive to the mountains. So I'm just sitting in the car, no one's speeding, we're just driving to the mountains. I'm like, where are we going? We go to the mountains for 2 weeks of training camp. So I haven't even been to my house yet. So I just lobbed on Athens, straight into the car. So it was quite an eye-opening experience for a 21-year-old, and they dump a heap of cash into you, and they go, this is yours, this is your salary. I went, okay, no bank transfer, you got to look after that yourself. So I hid that somewhere and just went about my business. And I guess I was lucky that that was my first exposure in a way in such a tough league and country that, like you said, if you survive here, you can survive anywhere. And the team ended up doing really well. We ended up coming 3rd in the league. The team qualified for EuroLeague, and it was a great rookie season in Europe. Sorry.
And then from there, did you ever have an itch to like, I want to come back and play in the NBL, or was it just this is a style of basketball I like playing in? Because obviously you sort of carved out a really solid career for yourself overseas. Yeah,
I mean, when I basketball was at a funny time, like when I was coming into the NBL. The NBL was in a bit of a cross, like balls can comment. It was in a phase where they're trying to figure out who owns the league, who owns the teams. There's some money issues here and there, and there was a bit of uncertainty about the future of the league. So not a lot of guys were committing to it. They're all going to college. My whole thinking was I want to back myself and make the Olympic team in Beijing 2008. So that was 3 years after I'd started playing, and I was lucky enough to achieve that. So that was my big goal, not necessarily NBA or anything like that. And I wanted to be a career professional basketball player, which for a young guy in Australia in probably the mid to late 2000s, early 2000s, wasn't an easy thing to do because the 90s was kind of the good era. Then it kind of dropped off a bit. So, I didn't go to college or anything like that. I don't have a degree. So I backed myself into be a pro basketballer. So the best option for me was to follow the footsteps of guys like Matty Nielsen, Dave Anderson. These were the trailblazers. Damian Ryan had gone over to Europe, made a good career of things, and I was like, I want to be like those guys. So, after my first year there, I was like, well, this is where I'm at. I just want to find the best situation for me, wherever I can be for the next however period of time. Coming home didn't really excite me that much. I was doing really well over there. The league was building slowly and slowly here. I kept an eye on it. I knew who was winning, who was playing well. I was a little bit envious, like, I feel like I could do that, But, at the same time, I'm setting up a pretty good living for myself over in Europe, and I got to come home for holidays once a year.
Once a year? How long was holidays?
About 6 weeks I'd get off.
Jeez.
So
That's not
you do
long.
a 10 months, 6 weeks at home, then you'd be with the national team for 4 weeks, and then back on the plane. National team was like your little family time. That was cool.
Yeah. It's interesting you say that about Europe, because Ball said you ran off to Europe because you were afraid of him.
Well, I was sick of losing to the bloody Hawks, mate. I didn't know this podcast was Hawks chat. But anyway.
I think everyone knew after you were here for a little bit you were on to bigger things. But you're right. So, like, in that era, like, nobody was sticking around if they – not that you didn't have to, but if you hadn't, like, Europe was – now it's not the same anymore, but far and away better. And obviously the NBA was. When I came, they were like, there were some agents like, no, you don't go to the NBO at the start of your career. That's where you go at the end of your career if you're an import. But that's very much changed now.
Yeah, it's for sure. And like you look to the NBA, Bogues was like the only one who got drafted, and he was the #1 pick. Like, it was pretty hard time to crack that as well. So for sure, Europe was kind of the destination for myself at that time, and I've no regrets about going over there.
And over your time in Europe, you played against some pretty impressive players. Can you sort of list off any names that were like, these were some of the toughest guys to guard, or these were some of the most impressive? Even towards the end of your time in Europe, you played against a teenage Luka Doncic, with Real Madrid. Who were some of the more impressive guys you went up against?
Oh, I mean, like in the Greek league alone, you had guys like Spanoulis, Vasilis Spanoulis. These are two or 3-time EuroLeague champ. Dimitris Diamantidis, another great Greek player. Navarro. I dealt with Navarro a few times, running off about 50 pin downs. Rudy, Ricky.
Greek Shaq.
Baby Shaq. We have a long history with Baby Shaq. Scorchanides, his name was. He was at our World Cup that we happened to win in 2019. So he was there. Actually have something in my pocket from that World Cup.
Oh, wow. Hey. Oh, hello. Look at that.
That's the gold medal. So there you go, boys.
That's the gold medal.
That's the gold medal from under 19s 2003. The reason why it was in my locker, because we had a reunion about a month ago.
And that was an impressive Australian team.
Yeah, that was a cool team, and I just happened to have that there. That's didn't mean to segue, but yeah, that was in my pocket.
2003.
Gold medal. So that was before I started. That was myself.
Like Reese,
Bogues.
Reese okay, yeah, Brad.
I was
Robbins,
Reese's backup. Robbo.
Yeah, Robbo's
Damien Martin, Stevie Markovic, Aaron Bruce, Sam Harris, Mitch Selwood, Alex Marriage, Blake Goyanov, Matty Knight. I may have missed one. Rob Beveridge was the coach. Marty Clark was the assistant coach.
And that was a huge deal.
It was kind of like, my thing was, we made it on Sports Tonight. Remember Sports Tonight? Like, we made Sports Tonight. That was like the big deal. There was no YouTube or anything, so it's pretty hard to find footage of the games. But we just a bunch of guys from a bunch of Aussie blokes. We didn't do any tours. We might have played in the Schweizer Cup 2 years earlier. Didn't place anywhere. Came back to Australia. Basically just lived and breathed as a team for 2 years at AIS. I was a little bit late to the party because I was like a late developer. And then we rolled into a pre-season pre-tournament near Thessaloniki, a bit further north, played there, won 3 games. Like, we might be right here. Meanwhile, we're all out getting tans, getting sunburnt and getting in trouble from the coach for not taking it serious. 2 weeks later, we won a gold medal. So, great team. Obviously Bogues, Damien Martin, huge names. And to be a part of that was probably one of my proudest memories.
Yeah, were there some of you talk about Baby Shaq being in that tournament, were there some other names that maybe listeners would be familiar with?
Remember Linus Kleiser?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was an All-Star 5 player. Rocco Ukic played in the NBA a little bit. JJ Redick was there. Deron Williams was there. Bunch of guys who probably fringe NBA, but they were very good players. Huge honour. We go back to talking about Doncic before, right? I was lucky enough to my team in Gran Canaria made the Copa del Rey final, which is a big deal. It's basically at the midpoint of the season, the top 8 playing a top 8 tournament, similar to how the NBA just did it, but it's a knockout thing over a weekend. And we made the grand final, Gran Canaria. We played Real Madrid. So budget-wise, city-wise, huge mismatch. Anyway, we played quite well. We went down in the end, but my only Doncic memory was like we were matched because he was kind of playing the 3 back then. And I was trying to box him out, and he's jumped over me and ripped the rebound out of the end. I'm like, he's only 17. I was 28 at the time, thinking, wow, this guy's got a long way to go. And the funny thing was, 3 years earlier, we played in the same tournament, and they had this thing called the Mini Copa where the kids play, like the under-14s or whatever, and they had this little tournament going at the same time as the seniors. So after our shoot-around, the kids would be doing their game over in the side courts. So I remember we were just watching a bit of Real Madrid playing. Luka was playing. he would have been like 14 thinking, oh my God, this guy's coming for all our jobs. Anyway, he did, and he's doing pretty well. But as far as probably toughest, best player I played against in Europe, it was probably playing for Australia, was Manu Ginobili.
Oh.
Yeah, he was the hardest matchup I've ever had, I reckon. Because he was left-handed. He could get to the hoop. He knew the FIBA game really well. And I'm saying this in front of guys like Kobe, LeBron, other guys I'm lucky enough to play against, but Manu was definitely the hardest one to deal with.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's been so great to hear a bit about your career up to this point, and we're going to go into a short break and then we're going to come back. Balls has got some questions for you with Fast 5.
Want to stay up to date with everything happening at Melbourne United? Download the Melbourne United app today. Filled with videos, audio and articles about your favourite team, it's the one-stop shop for everything Melbourne United. Download the Melbourne United app via the App Store on iOS or the Google Play Store on Android.
And we're back on the Extra Pass podcast, and it's time for Fast 5 with Balls.
Ready?
This is Fast 5 with Balls.
Been waiting for this the whole time. Now we're on to the fun stuff. Yeah, they're hard hitting, so I hope you're ready.
Okay, Brad, as you can see here, I've written this on yellow legal pad. So that means it's extra important. I think that's the first time I've done that. And I'm not lying for the folks at home. Okay. All right. First question. Since this is a Christmas episode.
It's a holiday
Holiday
episode.
extravaganza. What are your Christmas traditions with your family? Do you have any unique ones? What are we talking about Christmas-wise? You nervous? You got your shopping done? What's going on?
Yeah, so our Christmas situation, given my career and my wife's career and where we live and where our families are, it pretty much changes every year. I've had Christmases in Lithuania where it was minus 30 degrees. I've had Christmases in Athens with my wife just by ourselves. I've had my family come over for Christmas. I've played on Christmas Day. We won't go into that. Yeah, I've been had a lot of different options. But one thing that kind of sticks is typically I would have a breakfast. I'd try to have a breakfast with my family in Adelaide. If I'm in Adelaide, I'll have breakfast with my direct family. So my mum and dad, and sometimes my sister's there and her family as well. But that's what's going to happen this year, which we're lucky. And then the afternoon, we normally go to my in-laws, so Bridget's family, which is just around the corner from where we are. So it's not too stressful. But we do a Santa, what do you call it, where you get a name. What's it called?
The KK.
The KK, yeah. So my wife's family, each of the siblings, now us in-laws are involved too. We've got to buy for someone. And we normally get a WhatsApp about a month out from Christmas about who you're going to get, and there's like a list. It's pretty extravagant. So it's very organised, and yeah, fingers crossed for some golf stuff.
Is there a limit? Like,
typically there's a limit. About $150, I think.
$150.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, you only get one gift.
That's true. It's only one, so it saves
one gift.
money in the long run.
But now there's that. We've all got kids now, so
you got to buy
there's 4 siblings, 2 kids each. It's almost 10 kids now. So I'm like, why don't we put the kids in it now? Instead of buying one thing for each kid, have a kid sweep and the parent of the kid buys for them.
Or not get anything for the adults and get the kids.
Oh, the parents just tap out. We've had our time, maybe.
Yeah. That's a lot of pressure. $150 is
it gets up to 150. I've seen more being spent before, and I've seen less being spent before, and there's been controversy. So
yeah, well, when it's that high,
and it depends who you get too. Like if you
I
get,
would just say, give me $150 or like a gift card, please.
Cash has been thrown around. Cash in an envelope definitely been thrown.
Yeah,
around. But that'll happen Christmas Day over at my brother-in-law David's house. Vintalopa wine. Check it out.
Oh, I've had some Vintalopa. I quite enjoy it.
Oh, well, we'll maybe be good and I might get you a bottle, mate.
Oh, Vintalopa wine. I've heard of that. Wait.
Don't try to get in on
Adelaide.
it now.
Adelaide, that's
the guy with he's got.
Yeah, that's Dave. That's my brother-in-law.
That's your brother-in-law. I didn't know that. I've done art for
that's
him
Dave.
before. A long time
you would
ago.
have.
Yeah.
He played a bit of basketball here and there.
Yeah.
And good friends of Jacob.
I didn't.
Holmes
Jake. Did he?
Yeah. He's a
good
man.
One of my good buddies. All right. Well, that's a good connection.
Yeah.
Look at that. Just on the podcast
Shout out
live.
to him.
Brother. Yeah.
Huh. All right. Vintalopa Wines, our new sponsor.
There you go. I'll let him know.
Okay, this is my favorite question, and I'm especially excited to ask you because you're of age.
Well, you usually leave this till last.
Yeah, I know. I couldn't wait. I couldn't wait. Okay. What was your first CD? Now, don't answer yet. I looked, when you were born, you would have been about 12 years old around 1997. That is just a guess. Your first CD that you bought, or maybe even were gifted, because you probably don't have a ton of money at year 12, or even when you're 12 years old. Okay, here's my 3 guesses. Freak Show by Silverchair.
I knew of it, didn't have it.
Dude Ranch, Blink-182.
Know of it, didn't have it.
Songs from the South by Paul Kelly.
I know of that, but didn't have
country
it.
music fan. Okay,
My
all
first
wrong.
CD, so I reckon I was about, was Dangerous by Michael Jackson.
Wow. That's early.
The
That's late 80s. Or maybe
no,
late 80s.
it was like 92, I reckon. I was about 7.
Dangerous, yeah, with black
Remember
and white.
yeah, black
I can
and
see
white.
the color, cover.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I had that CD. Yeah, I remember that one very clearly.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
That's one of our better ones. Now, do you have any?
But
do you
I
still
know
have it?
I had all them in my, what was
wallet?
the OG, the first ever kind of downloading
LimeWire?
thing. It was before
We talk
LimeWire.
about that.
No,
on YouTube.
we
We're
don't.
not allowed to.
Let's
We're
not
I
talk
had
about
CDs and cassettes. My parents were a bit older, so I got exposed to older stuff. My mates were the ones who listened to all that stuff.
Are you still a CD
Do
guy?
you own any
Nah.
CDs?
Oh, I do. They're all at my parents' house
You
in a
still
big
have
trunk.
CDs? Oh.
In a big trunk somewhere. There'd be, I reckon, there'd be hundreds of them.
Really?
Yeah,
That'd
yeah,
be awesome.
hundreds.
We need to get that trunk. Get it.
Yeah, that trunk has got some stuff, man.
Have an opening on it.
DVDs, old game. They my game tapes might be there, taped off Fox
Yeah, from
Sports.
that disappeared.
Yeah,
All right, well, that's a great answer. Okay, so you're an Adelaide boy. You did move around a bit in your youth, correct?
big time. Yeah.
Northern
so,
Territory,
do you want me to
Cairns.
open up on that a little bit?
Yeah, well, let's talk. Yeah, let's just go for it.
So my dad was a bank manager. So he was a career man, and my mum looked after me and my sister. I was born in Adelaide. I lived there till I was about 9 years old, and was getting into my basketball, playing for the Forestville Eagles, loving life. And Dad said, "Oh, I got a bank transfer. We're moving to Alice Springs." So I was like, "Oh, okay."
Ooh, Alice
I've just started playing junior ball. Now we're moving up to Alice. They didn't even have uniforms up there. So
Jeez.
I get up there and there's a young Mitch McCarron running around.
Really?
His dad was my coach. And I remember Macca throwing basketballs into bins and things like that. I was a real young kid. And it was, and my dad ended up running the basketball club. So he kind of like took it upon himself to establish the hoops up there, and we ended up having a third court being built up there. And that was pretty cool. And kind of got stuck in. I was playing footy, cricket, tennis, all the sports you can think of. And then Dad got a transfer to the Sunshine Coast. So I went from the desert to the coast, did another 3 years up there, just part of his job. And once again, getting into my junior basketball again, kind of cracked a bit of a state squad with Queensland South. I was playing for Maroochydore up there on the Sunshine Coast. Love my time up there. Then my dad retired from the bank at a very young age, at like 51, I think. And then we moved back to Adelaide, where we kept our family home and kind of restarted again from there. And lucky enough, ended up in Canberra when I was 17 at the AIS, sorry.
Okay. But
There you go.
how
There's a quick one.
You played with Joe Ingles. You going to the same high school?
Yeah, we Joe was in year 8, I reckon, when I was in year 10 at Pasadena High School in Adelaide. Just a local high school, nothing special. We're just two young fellas. We used to walk home from school together. He was in my sister's class. Didn't do any schoolwork.
It wasn't even a basketball school.
It was becoming, because the Sturt Basketball Club, they'd lost their association to a fire. So they were borrowing Forestville's old stadium while their new one was being built, which was going to be built at my school, which was just a bit of a coincidence. There was a basketball program, and I was kind of in the first year of the basketball program, and Joe just went there because it was near his mum's house, and I went there because it was near my parents' house, and that's just how we ended up on the same high school team. And spent a lot of time together as young fellas, and pretty cool path we've taken.
Well, here's my question: how do neither of you end up in the 36ers program, like as a developmental player? Nothing.
Yeah,
How does that happen?
I don't have any, like, some people seem to think there's like some hard feelings or they did something wrong, or we were both, like, I was pretty heavily recruited by Adelaide. I had recruited by pretty much every club in the league.
Humble brag.
Yeah, sorry.
So Adelaide
pat
did put
myself
in
on the
some
back.
time with you, because I know
well,
with
no,
Joe,
we
they
did. I remember going to
okay.
Sammy's. Remember Sammy's on the marina down there?
Yeah, with Phil.
Yeah,
My first year there, Phil was Phil's
Phil
last
and
season.
Steve and Scotty, who's up the coach now.
Yeah.
Potsy was the GM. I
yeah.
can't remember who else. We would go and have go and have these big seafood meals, and
They took me there
talk
too when
about
I was there.
their pitch. And I just looked at the lineup. I did a few training sessions, and I was interested. But then I guess Stacks up in Townsville saw something. He had a close relationship with Barry Barnes. Barry was the AIS kind of head of the dorms, like looked after the residents. Sorry, it was called. And him and I had a good relationship, and him and Stacks did. And he said, "This guy's doing pretty well. Why don't you consider bringing him in?" And I flew up there for a week at practice. Mike Kelly took me under his wing, and Peter Crawford, Rob Rose, And I was like, this is pretty, like, I feel like I'm ready to roll here. And Stack said, like, we think you can help our program straight away. And I had my eye on playing for Australia. That was my dream. And that the Australian team was getting a bit older as I was coming into it. And I thought I'm a good chance here. And I'm playing with two pretty good senior players, and Rob Rose and John Riley, who better to learn off at that age. And yeah, that's how that came into it. There was no malice or no crazy cash offer that came along. Or my grandma lived in Townsville, so that had a little bit to do with it, I guess. My mum's from there as well, so I had family up there. So I'm part Queenslander as well. But yeah, so that was cool. Yeah, Adelaide. Yeah, I guess it just never really happened, man. Like
I thought it was more of a they just didn't. They were
they
weren't on top.
We
of
had
it.
chats. Like it wasn't like they weren't.
They didn't offer you any of the car park money. That was always the
no.
the
That
rumor.
was safe for some other people.
That was always the rumor that
that
the
might have been
players
pre my era, I reckon.
got car park money, the cash that,
I remember
that topped up there.
Talking to the Tigers. I remember meeting with Lindsay and speaking to them, Perth, everyone. So
That sounds a lot like college.
yeah,
The Hawks?
Yeah, spoke to the Hawks, spoke to the Razorbacks. The Razorbacks were the actual first one to offer me a contract.
The Razorbacks.
The
huh?
Razorbacks. I remember Gordy McLeod, Robbie Cadee.
You mean the West Sydney Spirit, formerly Razorbacks?
Yeah. They were Razorbacks then. They were Razorbacks
Spirit
then.
for 1 year.
But they had a bit of a market on the young guys because they would come up to Canberra and watch
They had a
practice.
really good
and-
team. At
yeah,
that time,
They
John
just played in the
Riley?
grand final.
Yeah, John Riley
But
and,
Johnny had gone to Townsville. Dwighty, McKinnon,
Yeah.
Trahere, Stevie Markovic, Russell Hinder. Yeah, good team.
Oh yeah, Russ. Yeah,
Sydney, Gorge was ringing me. Yeah, so I had options. It wasn't if I just shunned Adelaide or anything like that. It's, no hard feeling. But with Joe, it might have been different, I guess.
I think because Joe, something like they spelled his name wrong or something.
The crazy thing with Joe was I thought I'd ruined his career before it even started. So he's come up to Townsville to practice with us because Stacks was considering having him come in. So he comes up to practice. We're doing a drill. I've come down and done a spin, and his foot has just snapped his foot in half.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. Bang. He missed nationals and all this. He come out to do a week of training with Townsville. He's gone home and he's out. He couldn't play under 20s. Wow. So, yeah, it was pretty bizarre. He was staying with me at the time as well. So, yeah, it was a bit awkward. But he hurt himself and, I guess he recovered and the rest is history.
An ankle breaker in every sense of the word.
Yeah. It was a spinner. Got him in the spin cycle.
Okay, on to question number 4. Okay, I checked your Instagram because I Googled you and that came up. Now, there's mostly just like thirst trap photos of you with your shirt off. You with your shirt off and stuff like that, doing various sports and various positions.
Yeah.
No, mostly.
That might have been
actually
from
all
a couple of years ago.
Yeah, no, I think when you don't post on there very often. Some of the
Nah.
do you?
Oh, I just do stories normally. I don't
it's
really
stories,
post,
man.
what do
Stories,
you call it? My grid is kind of a bit boring, I guess. Well, not boring, just dad from Melbourne,
But in your profile photo, you're having a coffee. So and you're also having a coffee now.
Oh, I'm having a coffee now.
So
now
you're-
thanks to Delhi, Matthew Delavandova, number 8.
Did he make it, or that's his?
Nah,
coffee?
he went and picked it up for me. He was
Oh.
getting coffee for someone
Oh,
else,
yeah.
and I just texted him saying strong latte, Del, and he come through with the goods. Didn't even respond to the text, just happened. So
What a guy.
What a man! What a man!
So you're a coffee guy, I guess that's what I'm trying to get to. And what's your order? Do you make it at home? Do you have a
So
go-to
I
place?
have 2 different coffees a day. My wife and I, we start the day with a long black. So that's just straight pods. We put pods in the thing,
pods,
bang,
not-
bang.
Yeah,
Have our that's us for the day. We're on.
but it's a quick one, or is it you sip or is it?
No, you go just 2 shots, boiling water. We talk over breakfast while she makes the kids' lunches, and I watch and read the newspaper for half an hour. I still read the newspaper, believe it or not. I get it delivered.
That is a
Don't
good
judge
thing.
me.
No,
Don't
that's
judge
a
me.
good thing. I miss newspapers.
No, I read
Brad,
the
did you-
newspaper every morning.
Did you say you were on the back page the other day?
Oh, that's how I found out. So yeah, the guy gets on the court. What happens? Media street. Hello.
Back page.
But just that's my morning coffee. And then in the afternoon, after practice, I'll get home. I'll grab my dog and I'll go for a walk down a street in a suburb that I live in, not far from here, and stop at the local cafe. And I'll either get if it's cold outside, a strong latte. And just recently, I've been getting a super special strong iced latte with a little bit of sugar in it.
Oh, there we go.
Just a little bit of sugar, just to give it a little kick, So that's my routine.
Don't they always? Or is it iced coffee? Doesn't that always have a bunch of sugar, or you got to?
No, you got to add it.
Like the McDonald's one though, they have a ton of sugar.
They already
Yeah, I
that's
think that's-
preloaded.
yeah,
But if
that's
you get
good,
one
yeah.
from a cafe, they won't put sugar in it. Then I'll just say, can you just put a little bit of sugar in it, just to make it sweet. I don't have it normally in my other coffees.
Is there a point in the day? I know a lot of people are like, I can't have a coffee after X time because it'll keep me. Is there a point in the day where you're like, no coffee?
Probably three after pickup. You wouldn't have a coffee after school pickup. You have it before pickup, so you got energy for the rest of the day. I don't know. Kids will do that to you real quick. If we're playing, like an 8 o'clock game, I'll probably have my normal routine, then have a little, just get one for the drive on the way in and just sit in the car and sip on that. It's nice to just have a little coffee and a bit of digital radio on the way into the big game at John Cain.
Lovely. My partner
I
has.
was going to ask, what's your coffee?
Well, I don't drink
practices?
coffee. I'm a.
No coffee.
I never drank coffee till I was about, what was I, 24, I reckon?
Yeah, I'm still waiting for that to happen.
I had my first coffee was a Greek coffee, so that was interesting, to say the least.
What's a Greek? Is it?
Oh, it's this real strong, like a shorter kind of, but I've learnt they've got these things called a frappaducky, which is beautiful. It's like like an Aussie long black, iced long black with all this cream and it's very good, man. Very sweet. Not good for you, but it gets you going. They call it a Freddo Cappuccino is the official name.
Ooh,
they used to call it a frappaducky. Give me a frappaducky, please.
What about you, Ben? What were you saying?
Well, yeah,
Sorry,
I don't.
Ben.
No, that's fine.
I've taken over your show.
That's fine, Brad. I love it.
I'm gunning for you.
We got to
Go
get
on,
a chance to
go
talk
on.
every once in a while.
No, I was gonna say because my partner is a person who will have a coffee at 8 o'clock at night.
Yeah, I could do the same.
And
go
it's
to
just
sleep,
like,
yeah.
oh, it helps me sleep.
Yeah,
and I
you
just
can
never
use it as
understood
a-
that.
Like if you just had a quick shot and I know people like that as well. Dave Anderson who does that. Interesting tactics. Big John likes a night coffee. I've been out for dinner with Big John and he's had a coffee and I'm like, he's staying up all night.
Like a full coffee or like a post
Just a
dinner,
little like espresso with sugar in it or something. Yeah.
It's an Italian thing, the post-dinner short black. I know
Back
that
to my
'cause-
Instagram.
Yeah, let's talk about your Instagram. Now, no, I'm just kidding. I didn't see any. I couldn't log in. I'm not on Instagram, but I didn't see any with your shirt off, unfortunately.
You have to do a caricature of me in my shirt
I'll
off.
do it.
Shirt
Let's
off.
do it. I need a shirt off photo
Yeah.
first.
All
cheese
right.
grater abs.
Give me 6 weeks.
No, I don't want abs. Abs are boring. I mean, people that are
Pipes.
like
Who wants pipes?
people that look like traditionally beautiful. Not saying none of us here aren't traditionally beautiful, like models, like GQ
Yeah.
models. Those people are boring to draw. It's not fun. Like
You got to have quirks.
Yeah, you need some quirk.
Yeah.
You need some weird aspects to
Big
your,
head or something.
Yeah, that make you who you are, and they're a lot more fun to draw. Okay, moving on. All right, so I mean, traveling around Europe for 10 years playing basketball, you would have stories for days. Like this podcast could go on for
Yeah,
a
it
long,
might end
long
up
time.
in an audio book.
Ooh, maybe that's next.
There you go.
We'll talk to Vanellope about that.
Sponsored by.
What? Okay, so we'll
Pino.
just make it short. What's your craziest Euro environment to play in that you can remember?
Probably we played a Euro Cup game. I was playing for Gran Canaria, and we had to play a team called. It was in a town. What was it called? It was like a big semi-final kind of game, and I'll think of Izmir. The team was Izmir, so it's a town, coastal Turkey, Karashaka, Izmir. So the whole town gets behind the basketball team basically, and we arrived 2 hours before the game, like you do at John Cain, and they're already there.
Whole arena.
5,500, 6,000 people just going absolutely crazy, yelling, throwing stuff. We're not even we're in the change room. Didn't even go out and do pre-game shooting. Didn't even,
really?
Not even going to bother. Not even going to. Don't bother with that. Just worry about the game. Anyway, this was to make the Euro Cup semis. So we'd had a huge season, the team. So when I first got there, we were like relegation. Then the next 4 years, we were playoff teams, making finals. It was a great experience. Anyway, so we played them, and just the whole game, shaking the place was shaking. The fans could actually shake the backboard.
And they were like, allowed to.
They could actually almost get behind there and they were shaking it.
Jeez.
Laser pointers at the free throw line, like just the works, you name it. And it was really cool. Like this was the most feral place to play in Europe. It was in Turkey. And we were just a bunch of boys from Spain trying to get a win and not bothering. Police escort to and from the game. You come out one of them tunnels. We're just playing this game. We're getting out of here. No showers, nothing. Just play and get out of here. Anyway, we roll in. We get the win. We were just like, no one had won there all year. It was a very hard place to play. They had a really good team. Guys have gone on to do some really good things from that team.
I'm sure their fans would have taken that loss really well.
This was what the coolest thing was. Like, it was so feral. We were up probably 10 with about a minute to go. So the game was home. Our point guards dribbling. We're just moving around the perimeter. And they start clapping for us. They're all 5,500, 6,000 start applauding how well we just played and handled that environment. None of us we didn't go into the crowd. We just ignored everything that was going on. and they applauded us, and we walked off. And that was probably one of the coolest moments playing in that environment, and then to be applauded for how we handled that environment was pretty cool. And we went on, and we made the final of the Euro Cup.
Nice.
So yeah,
it's a good question.
Tough environment to play. I've had similar ones, the same spit, coins. You wouldn't want to take the ball on the outer side, and some of the arenas I played in, man, like. We're talking about guys making really good money, teams with big $5-6 million euro budgets playing in these tiny little domestic venues with people just on top of each other going absolutely berserk. But what an experience, you know.
Yeah, those places can be miserable if you're playing bad. Right?
Yeah.
If you're having a bad game, it's awful. But if you're playing well and embrace it, it's like,
well, that's the thing. We
we
just come out and we said that it's going to be like this. Our coach was an older guy. He coached the Spanish national team. He's a great coach. He was like 70, 72, so he probably couldn't even hear what was going on.
Just switch the hearing aid
He
off.
just said, look, he didn't, because he grew up in like the era where things were crazy, I guess, in the 70s and 80s, and to him it was probably nothing. So we just embraced that mentality and went about our business.
What about personal? Like the fans get pretty personal pretty quick. Do you have any personal, like they went at you personally, or like one fan?
Yeah, I wasn't really an antagonistic kind of player. Like I would just play the game. I never got involved in crowd interactions. I was positive. Like I'd be pumping my fist, and I had a pretty good following on the island. Had some real good mates there, and when my daughter was born over there, like got all these gifts for her, and it was pretty cool. Like the way they got around that. But as far as like personal attacks, nothing really that bad happened. But my teammate. Someone threw a firecracker on the floor once, hit him in the calf. That was pretty crazy during a game. But that wasn't me. But it was, that was probably the craziest thing I'd seen happen as far as teammates. But yeah, probably my mentality didn't cause me to cop any heat, I guess, from the opposition fans. Just went about my business.
Awesome. That was great. I told you it was going to be good. I'm going to use this maybe paper next time too.
Good fast five.
I don't know if it was the paper, if it was Brad.
Probably wasn't a fast five.
They never. I don't
It's
think
ironic.
we've ever had a fast five.
Yeah.
But no, terrific balls. Well, Brad, there's one thing I want to get into before we let you go, and that's leading into this weekend. It's another big game against Perth. It's the open air game. You know, it's something you've gotten to experience coming back, and playing in that environment last year and leading into this, first, third. Can you talk a bit about the open air game and I guess the thoughts going into this game?
Yeah, it's definitely a big one for our club's calendar. You saw the atmosphere we created last year against Cairns. Just so many cool photos and memories from the environment, and I guess this year it's even bigger because it's a top three at Perth.
Yeah, they're third.
They're up there. It's Perth, Melbourne, big rivalry. It's a big game coming up when there's a few extra people just floating around practice. There's something going on. I don't know. Is there enough tickets? I'm not sure. But a big one's coming up when you get that many people coming around. I'm looking forward to it personally. Like I really enjoyed it last year. I'm looking forward to seeing how some of our new guys how they embrace the environment we're going to play in. Hopefully the weather's all right. I might need some zinc for my nose. If it's going to be sunny, if the sun's still out at 8 o'clock, who knows? But yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. Perth are playing a much faster style of basketball at the moment. Bryce is playing some good hoops. He's going to be a focus for most clubs this time of the year. So yeah, really looking forward to that game. And then it's Christmas. So what better way to end the year than a big win on open air?
Yeah, how good. Was there a point last year where you're playing the game and you do sort of look up and you're like, oh, it's the night sky? Is it very different?
Yeah, to be honest, once it's on, no. Like maybe because I was probably playing a bit more last year. I might probably this year I'll probably take it in a little bit more. Like that's my role. I'm happy with it. But I'll probably notice a few more things than I did last year. But yeah, once the ball was in the air, you didn't even really think about it, to be honest. It's only when you look after the game, all the photos our great media team take and share. So that's probably in the heat of the battle, you're not really thinking about it too much. When you ran out, I reckon that was the only you felt a little bit of a breeze and saw some bugs. But yeah. It was one of the most fun things I've done.
Well, hopefully we can get another big win in the open air game. We got a good record in the open air game. I think 7-2 all time. 2-0 against Perth in open air games. So hopefully we can keep that up.
Not 0-10 like the Crocs Hawks.
Right? No, you did get one win over.
We got to win. You're beating up on a kid, mate. I was a teenager, man.
Yeah, I'm not.
Come on, man. Don't be bragging about that.
The only time we lost maybe was the second game on the back-to-back Cairns Townsville. We almost
they've all been at Gilligan's the night before. That's why.
not to brag, but we almost were the first team to do that twice and
The swing. Yeah.
to win the swing twice in one
It
season.
was like a Friday, Saturday.
Yeah.
You cross your fingers to get the Saturday
We
game.
lost. We lost to Townsville for that one time.
Wow, what an experience. But no, well, thanks so much for coming on, Brad. We really appreciate it, hearing all your stories, hearing about the team, and yeah, hope you enjoyed it.
No, thanks for having me, man. Like I said, probably need an audiobook to go through my whole life. But yeah, enjoyed being on the pod. Love to come back. You never know, mate. That chair over there looks pretty comfy.
Yeah, it's well, I'm getting a bit
But people
nervous
might
now.
not want to listen to me. They might want to listen to you, mate.
Brad,
You know,
everyone-
Send your votes in.
Brad, everyone.
Put it out to the public.
No, we
Future
won't
host.
kick Ben off.
Oh no, if you
Three hosts, and we already talked about the guest can just
Or
be
when we
off
get
screen.
when we get our new studio built, then we'll
That's
look
it.
at it.
Sponsored by Vintalopa and Dream
Interloper
Street
Wines
Lending.
down there, yes. Cuddle Creek. I can't remember exactly where it is, but yeah, get along to Vintaloper.
No, well, it was a very exciting episode to have, and this is our last episode for a few weeks. We're taking a few weeks off over the holiday break and over sort of while the team is on the road and the office closes here at Hoop City. But thank you all for listening. Thank you for supporting the podcast through the first 27 episodes it's been.
It took 27 episodes for me to get on, mate.
I know it was an oversight on my part.
I'm not far away.
No, I know it's a big oversight.
I thought we'd already had you. We just talk about you so much on
because
here.
you just bring me up all the time, mate. It's just, you
We
know,
talk
part
about
of-
you so
part
much,
of
I thought you were already here.
Part of the furniture, you know.
No, well, make sure you take that gold medal home. And no, thanks so much for coming on the podcast, Brad.
Thanks for having me.